Yefimovich, Chapter 2. The water floated in the air as a shield around the goal, held together with his body and mind by a Maryim man. Two opposing players were flying towards him, one propelled by fire coming from his wrists and feet. The other had hurled himself through the sky by rapidly and aggressively changing the ground below him into a colonnade, causing him to glide through the air like a bullet from a gun. Yefimovich stood on his feet as he saw from the corner of his eye that the time was reaching the final minutes of the game. The Ishan player shot fire from his hands like balls from a cannon, evaporating the water that guarded the net. The Mar player struggled to congeal the liquid, trying desperately to keep his opponent from scoring, gathering droplets within the air and clouds and piecing back together his wall of water. As the water bow was rebuilding his wall, he saw that the Ada player was losing velocity as he approached the goal and formed the water into a sphere and hurled it at the player as if it were coming from a siege engine. The massive marble of spinning water struck the earth-bower, causing him to lose the ball and fall back down to the earth. "No!" shouted Yefimovich, his heart racing from the excitement. The fire coming from the fire-bower now turned to lightning, and he seemed to move like it as well as he pursued the falling ball. He darted through the open air like the bends and cuts of a bolt of fulmination, reaching the ball before it hit the ground. He looked like a rocket as he screamed across the sky, being joined by an air-bower who seemed as weightless as a feather. The two charged head-on, and coming towards them was a Maryim who floated on clouds of water, and an earth-bower who had created planting stones with the floating boulders in the field. The Ada player began to toss the stones at the elusive Ishan as the water bower hurled wave upon wave at the RV player. The earth bower then began to form a vice around the fire bower, laying stone upon stone onto his body as the Ishan struggled to fly across the sky. When all seemed lost for the fire bower, the Ada player was grabbed from the ankles by cuffs made of stone and dragged down to the earth, much like a whip snaps the air. At the same time, the air bower moved the wind with the force of a hurricane, causing the water bower to tumble to the earth with his teammate. The Ishan, sweat pouring from his skin, kicked the ball forcefully at the opponent's goal, hitting the back of the net, giving them 3 points and the victory as the final seconds clicked and the buzzer sounded. The crowd was elated as they sang "The Marching Saints" and tossed confetti into the air in joyous celebration. Yefimovich sang along with the crowd.
"We are the Saints, the marching saints. We are here for victory. How you'll want to be in this number when the saints come marching in. Yea! When the saints come playing drums. When the saints sound victory. How you want to be in this number, oh, when the saints come marching in. Oh, when the saints come burning bright, oh, when the saints light up the night. How you want to be in this number, oh, when the saints come marching in."
Yefimovich sang at the top of his lungs with a surprisingly powerful singing voice. He looked over at his daughter, who was cheering and singing alongside her father. Her light strawberry blonde hair ran down her back, and her smile was wide and drew the attention of anyone who saw its perfection. Her brown eyes were sweet as chocolates, and her lips like cotton which no man had kissed. Father and daughter embraced in happiness, jumping up and down at their team's championship victory. Yefimovich and Yekaterina waited in their suite as the people slowly and ecstatically exited the stadium with voices of jubilee. As the stadium noise became a hushed murmur, they left the comforts of the box suite and headed to their vehicle. Like all the transporters in Yizra, it was without tires and hovered in the air. The body was streamlined in a metallic silver colour with doors trimmed in copper. Its windows were tinted dark black to keep the beating sun from heating up the car, and its lights beamed a sky blue. Before Yefimovich and his daughter could enter their hovercraft, they were surrounded by their fellow citizens. "Yekaterina! Katerina! Kat!" the people shouted. Though Yefimovich was the most powerful man in the country and the Prime Minister of Yizra, it was his daughter who was reigned with all the attention, for she was holy and would control all the elements of the world. "Tulku! Tulku!" they shouted. Yekaterina stopped and greeted the men, women and children who adored her. She took holovids and holopyx as well as signed autographs on shirts, shorts, and anything the people had available. After 15 minutes, her hand began to cramp from writing, and her cheeks began to ache from smiling. She waved goodbye to all that treasured her, and left with her father in the quiet comfort of their transporter. The city was void of brick or cement roads, but was covered in trillions of sand particles that always circuited with the subtle touch of the wind. The earth bowers would flatten and harden the desert sands and pave the way for people to move about the city, which looked as if it were made from confectionery sweets. The buildings were of bright and vivid colours, with domes that looked like the buds of flowers or of an upside-down onion. Some even resembled that of an ice cream cone. They were striped and multicoloured and made the city feel as if the magic of the world was held within it. The roads in which the Adama formed had designs of their own. Some streets had triangles that intersected one another, forming a star, and the design would flow until the road was no more. Each district had designs ingrained on their roads, and they correlated with the subculture of that district. The main roads, which led to the citadel, were crafted in such a way that when they reached the city centre, the compositions of those roads formed a complete picture, uniting the city as one people. Yefimovich loved to see his city full of life. The men and women gathering in bars after the match, grabbing candies from the local shops, or standing in long lines for pierogi. His stomach growled at the sight of the pierogi. He could taste the sweet pastry that wafted in the air, filled with potatoes, meat, cabbage, and cheese. To him it was the best traditional Yezrean food he could ever have. "Hey, Errol, let's make a quick stop at Vipeshka I Pelmeni. I'm absolutely starved," said Yefimovich. "Yes, sir." "Dad, that line is 40 feet long. We'll be here all night," Yekaterina tried to point out to her father. "Well, it's a good thing I placed an order 30 minutes ago." He gave a wink at his daughter. "You see that, Errol? Just because she's the Tulku, she thinks she's smarter than her old man." He wrapped his arm around Katerina as she rolled her calming brown eyes at him. He quickly exited the hovercraft as Errol was quick to follow, and quickly came back with a pierogi stuffed in his mouth. "It's nice to see you so light-hearted, Dad," Yekaterina noted to her father. "It's nice to not think about running the country for a couple of hours," he smiled back. "But when we get home, reality will set in once again, and all the thoughts of the world will be on my mind once more." The sun had fallen below the horizon as they approached Sesam Palace. The light shined gently on the white and blue building with its gold statues, golden arches, and gold column bases. The country's flag flew proudly in the cool desert breeze, resting high atop the palace Yefimovich and his family called home. "Home sweet home, sir," said Errol. "There is almost no better sight than thee," he said. "Don't get all teary-eyed, Dad. We still have another year here," Yekaterina reminded him as the car stopped and rested at the palace entrance. "Thanks for the ride, Errol. Tell your beautiful wife we said hello," said Katerina. "It's a shame she couldn't come. Tell her she's always welcome," Yefimovich said. "Thank you both. I'll let her know. Good night, Miss Katerina. Good night, Prime Minister," said the soldier. "Good night," Yefimovich and his daughter replied in unison. As the two entered the lavish circular entrance, with marbled floors and columns dancing with colours of white, gold, and amber, they were greeted by the kind and subtle voice of Rivka. "Good evening, you two. How was the game?" "I watched some of it on the holo. It looked incredible," she said as she took Yefimovich's jacket. "Miss Rivka, it was totally amazing. I've never seen such an exciting match," said Katerina. "You know I'm not into all that. I'm glad you had fun, little cat," she said. "Well, next time we're forcing you to come, and my darling wife," Yefimovich said jokingly. "Speaking of my wife, how is she feeling?" "She's better than she was this morning. She was so upset she couldn't make it to the match," Rivka said with a frown on her face. "I'd better go and check on her," he said, and he left the entryway as his daughter and Rivka continued to chatter. Yefimovich could hear the harsh coughs from his wife as he quietly entered the grandeur of his bedroom. The light of the room was dim and made him feel at home in the great space of the large palace. He looked at his beautiful wife. Her eyes were red and swollen from lack of sleep. Her bedside was a mountain of tissues and medicine. But even at her weakest, he loved the woman he saw before him. "Oh, Victoria, you look beautifully dreadful," He poked fun at her, and even in her state of misery she laughed at his terrible jest. "How was the game?" she asked, her voice rough like gravel. "I wish you could have been there. Your daughter and I had a great time. You would have had a blast, but don't worry about that. How are you feeling?" Yefimovich replied. "Slightly better than this morning. I'm hoping the fever wears off by tomorrow morning. I can manage a sore throat." "Well, don't make it any worse. I'll go get you some tea and come to bed. I've got a busy day tomorrow. I'll tell you about it in the morning." Yefi travelled downstairs to the first floor of the marvellous home, heated up some water, gathered some tea leaves into a small teapot, and headed back upstairs to his adoring wife. As he opened the door, his hands full with scalding tea, he saw Victoria had already fallen asleep. He headed back out of his room to see if Yekaterina wanted the cup that was meant for her mother. He knocked on her door with a few faint taps to get her attention. "Come in," she said, and her father entered. "Hey, Dad, what's up?" "Well, I've made your mother some tea, but by the time I went downstairs and came back up, she had already fallen asleep. So I was wondering if you wanted it. It's chamomile." "Thanks, Dad. You off to bed?" she asked as she took the tea setting from him. "I'm so exhausted, so yes. Do you want me to wake you in the morning?" "No, I'm sure I'll be up before you. Do you want me to wake you up?" she asked, knowing her father needed all the sleep he could get. "Better not. I'm not sure how your mother will be feeling. The more she sleeps, the better, I think, at the moment." "If you change your mind, leave a note on the door. Good night, Dad. I'll see you in the morning," she said to her father. "Good night, dear." He closed the door behind him and made his way back to his own bedroom. He quickly showered and changed into his nightwear, being as quiet as he could, and snuffed out the lights that gave a soothing glow. He placed his head upon the pillow and let the lids of his eyes blot out the world, and what seemed like minutes later, he awoke in the darkness of a new day.